Hey, what's up everyone? This is Snackbox. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Guys, in this video, I want to talk about the new relic system. So before we start, let's take a look at the Bastion. Looks really amazing. As always, they always do a great job with the visuals. We got a Jingle Hunter skating around the summoning portal. We got a Jingle Hunter skating on the Guardian Ring. There's one down here that's playing with fireworks. And then, of course, we have Lady Noel, which is maybe the new Christmas fusion. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. But yeah, overall, looks pretty nice. They definitely nailed it with the Christmas feeling. So yeah, good job on that. Now, if you log in now, you will get a relic for free. If we go to our champions, and you can see the relic tab here, um, you will get a little tutorial on how to upgrade relics and how to, equip them and rank them up and so on. Basically, it works similar to a champion with like kind of chickens. Just instead of chickens, it's called basalt, and that's basically how you upgrade them. You will also get a gemstone. Everybody will get the same one, nothing special. Now, if we go to the forge, we have a new tab here for relic crafting. Now, you can see we don't have any crafting material yet, but you can go down here to the relic index. And in this relic index, you can check out all of the relics. So what I want to do in this video is, give you my first impression on all these relics. I haven't checked out any of them. I don't know what they do, but we will find out. Let's start with the first one. Rod of Blasphemy. It's a rare relic. Every rare relic starts at 1 star. And if you want to get the maximum value, you have to rank it up to 6 star. It's basically the same like in champion. This relic gives us HP, attack, and accuracy, and the wearer receives 2% less damage if under any debuffs. Okay, so if we click on this information tab, we can see if you rank it to level 2, you will get +1 damage reduction, +3 another, and then with level 6 +2. So I'm wondering if this is additive or 2% is the max. But I think this is additive. At least I would assume it. Okay, so nothing crazy, a little bit less damage if you have a debuff on the Vera. Yeah, decent, but nothing crazy. Let's go on to the Journal of Necrotos. Also a rare relic, HP, defense, and resistance. The wearer's heals and turn meter increase effects applied to allies are boosted by 15%. Again, if you click on the information tab with level 2, with each level, the heal and turn meter increase boost increases by 3%. Yeah, I think 15 is the max. So this is actually really nice for a speed booster. Unfortunately, you don't have speed in those stats, but again, a turn meter increase effect that is boosted by 15% is really decent. So for example, for an Arbiter or any speed booster that you use in Arena, or even in a Hydra team, for example. This can be really interesting. Definitely the better one out of the first two. Let's take a look at the Mask of Rage. Also rare. HP, defense, accuracy. The wearer receives 5% less damage from enemies under a provoke debuff. 5% less damage. Okay, so very niche. You can use this on a provoker in Hydra, for example. So I'm still wondering if these damage reductions are adding on to those 5%. It really seems like it. I'm not sure. I want to check this one out again. So if this adds up on this 2%, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8% less damage. I'm not sure though. And maybe you get, instead of 15%, you get 30%. Is that what it is? Let me know in the comments below what you think, how this works. But yeah, this relic is very niche, you know, for a provoke champion, but I guess usable in some areas. Unholy Grail, another rare relic, attack, HP, crit damage. So these stats are pretty interesting. The wearer deals 2% more damage if under any debuffs. Yeah, I can see this. I can see this being really nice. That's actually the one you get from just logging in right now. Everybody gets this one. I don't think this one is bad at all. For example, if you're using Trunda in Hydra and a Gorptok, you will always debuff Trunda with poisons to get more damage out of her, and this will just add on to it. So yeah, I'm not sure if this is a good thing overall, because it just again boosts the damage of Trunda teams in Hydra, but as a relic, this one is really one of the better ones out of the rare ones here. Let me actually check that one that we got from for free. So okay, if we click on upgrade, you can see you can upgrade the level here, and the ability level is on 1. So if we get it to 2, you will get more extra damage actually. That's how it works. Okay. So basically, here, for example, you will have a damage reduction of 8% if you get it to level 6. So they also have ability levels. And then here you will get 30% turn meter boost and heal. Here you will get 15% less damage from enemies under provoke. This is, what was it, 8% more damage if under any debuffs, which is decent. Okay, so let's move on to the epics. Golden Elixir, attack, accuracy, HP, and the wearer is instantly healed by 10% when their HP drops below 50%. The heal can go up to 20%, so that is actually really interesting for like tankier champions. I'm thinking about arena, if you're using someone like UDK, and he will always heal up again when his HP drops below 50%. I don't see a a cooldown on this, so this is actually pretty interesting. This can definitely make already tanky champions a lot more, a lot harder to kill. So this one is really interesting. Demonic Effigy. So next one, HP, resistance, speed. So this is actually the first one with extra speed, which is always nice. A good chunk of resistance and HP. 51 resistance, pretty decent. Whereas turn meter increased by 10% whenever one of their allies dies. Turn meter boost can also increase by 10%, so 20% turn meter whenever an ally dies. This can actually be really strong, for example, on champions like Galathir or other revivers that rely on high resistance and a lot of HP. And then when your team dies, he will get an instant boost of turn meter of 60%. At least that's how I understand this works. And 60% turn meter is a lot. So most likely you are able to revive instantly, and that can definitely, decide the match. Very strong. I think this is a really strong one. Okay, next one, Gilded Dragonstone. Another epic relic, defense, resistance, HP. Whereas the defense increases by 1% each time they receive damage. Stacks up to 10%. Max defense plus 2. So it's like 4, 6, 8. So another 10 defense. So it stacks up to 20%. Yeah, I mean, could be nice for a defensive nuker, but I'm pretty sure there are better ones. Also, yeah, I don't know. It's a good chunk of defense, resistance, pretty nice. Yeah, a very, very defensive relic, but yeah, not bad, I guess. But I think at the lower end. Wand of Submission. First legendary relic. 8 HP, speed. 12 speed is a lot. That's like a little bit more what a speed set bonus would give you. And accuracy. Wearer has a 25% chance to reflect, stun, sleep, fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, petrification, and sheep debuffs back at the producer. Wow, so this is so good. This is actually the first, you know, decent sheep counter actually. And you can get the chance up to 50%, so it's 50-50. Wow, this one is actually crazy. I don't see a turn, I don't see a cooldown on this. I don't know if relics have cooldowns or not. But if this doesn't have cooldown, this is actually really, really nice. The only thing that I don't like about this is that it just adds more RNG to the game. Um, Arena, for example, is already so RNG heavy, and this just adds more to it. So that's kind of like little bit of a downside, but it's actually the first, sheep counter besides pinpoint, of course, where pinpoint only counts. You only get one intercept stack most of the time, and it counters any control debuff once. But this seems like it's a decent 50-50 chance every time someone tries to control your champion. So really, really nice, honestly. But also the stats are pretty good. Speed, accuracy, HP, really, really good. Yeah, so definitely, I would definitely keep an eye on this one. Aspect of Zero is the next one. Defense, resistance, accuracy. Okay, interesting. Resistance and accuracy. When wearer receives fatal damage, reduces it by 50% of their turn meter, and then fully reduces their turn meter. Cooldown 1 turn. Okay, so relics actually have cooldown, and if they have a cooldown, let me move myself to the side a little bit. So here you can see they actually have cooldowns, but if they have a cooldown, it will stand here and you will know it. So yeah, pretty interesting. So let me read that again. When wearer receives fatal damage, reduces it by 50% of their turn meter, and then fully reduces their turn meter. So let's say my whatever Wukong is at 70% turn meter, and he would receive a fatal hit. The damage would be reduced by 35% because that's the 50% of his current turn meter. 50% of 70% is 35, and then fully reduces their turn meter. And then he would go back to 0 turn meter. I think this is how this works. Pretty nice, honestly. Can definitely decide a match. I would not use it on a Wukong, of course, but it was just for an example. And yeah, so this is actually pretty decent. It kind of saves your champion from a fatal hit, which definitely can make a difference in an arena match. Um, then the first mythical relic, actually, nice. So mythical relic, Hallowed Hilt, 24 speed. Wow, this is a massive chunk of speed. HP 3000, resistance 28. 24 speed is a lot. Wow. Whenever the wearer heals an ally with an active skill, has a 25% chance to place the Fervor Buff on the ally for 1 turn. Okay, we don't know what the Fervor Buff is, or I don't know, but the buff chance can be buffed up to 50%. Let's actually see. I think we can check out the buffs and debuffs. Let me see. If you go here, most of the time they are in here. Oh yeah, there we go. Fervor increases damage inflicted by 10% and reduces the damage received by 10%. Wow, so you deal 10% more damage and you get 10% less damage. So this is really, really good. Such a strong buff, honestly. Wow. Stormcall. Okay, we got Necrosis here as well. Hunter's Gaze. So you can check out all these new um, debuffs and buffs right there. Let's go back to the relics. So you have a 50% chance to buff an ally whenever the wearer heals that ally with an active skill. So passive skills don't work, like a Doom Priest, for example, doesn't work. It needs to be an an A1, 2, or 3 that heals your ally, and then you have a 50% chance to place the Fervor Buff on that ally, which is crazy because if you have an AoE heal, you have a 50% chance of each of your allies to place a Fervor Buff, which will reduce the damage by 10% of them and increase the damage by 10%. So, wow, this one is crazy. Let me actually check the info tab on this one. So you can get this up to 100% of the turn meter. So let's say if you're a champion, wow, this changes this whole relic. So let's say your champion is at 100% turn meter, and the enemy will take a turn before yours. He would hit him with a fatal hit, but because he has this relic, he wouldn't get damage at all because the damage will just be reduced to 0. 100% damage reduction because the turn meter is at 100%. Wow, this is actually an insane relic. This is a pretty good one. Okay, okay. And also, as you can see, you have all these different kinds of shapes for gemstones, which you can put in there so you can make them even stronger. Rare ones only have 1 gem slot, epics have 2, legendaries have 3, and mythicals have 4. Okay, so let's see. Cardiac Heart, another mythical relic. Get resistance, HP, and defense from this one. 96 resistance. That's like a banner, like a resistance banner. The wearer places 10% magma shield buff for 2 turns at the start of the battle. On everybody or just on him? Also places a magma shield buff on the wearer for 2 turns whenever they lose 25% of their HP in a single hit. Okay, so this is like another defensive layer. Shield strength 10%. So it's 20% magma shield. I think this is just shield. This is just another type of a shield. You know, we have shields from sets, we have shields from skills, and then now we have shields from relics as well. So yeah, this is pretty decent and definitely nice on really tanky champions if you give them another defensive layer. This can be really, really good. Yeah, nice. Okay. So let's see. So there are 2 different groups of relics. There's a standard group, which we just went over, and then there's also the Chimera group, which you can get from the clan boss. I don't know where you can get these from. Relics in the standard group can be crafted in the forge using different materials. There is always a 50% chance to craft a relic from the standard group, regardless of the material combination. Okay. Relics in the Chimera group can only be crafted in the forge using ocular masses. You can get these by battling the Chimera or as rewards in Chimera chests. Chance to craft a relic from the Chimera group cannot exceed 50%. Okay, so you have a 50% chance to craft a relic from one of these groups. Now, let's start with the rare ones here from the Chimera group. Molten Death Bell. So 96 accuracy. Wow, this is actually, again, like an accuracy banner. Defense and HP. Whereas turn meter increases by 10% when applying stun, sleep, fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, petrification, and sheep debuffs to enemies. Occurs once per turn. Okay, and this can, 20%. This can go up to 20% turn meter. Wow, so this is crazy for an Armance, for example. If you like stun the whole enemy team, decrease the whole turn meter, and the turn meter of Armance instantly goes up to 20%. Or is it like for each target? That would be crazy. Okay, so this is, yeah, we have to test it, I guess, but this one looks a little bit broken. So the next one is Tempus Sanguinis. HP, accuracy, and defense. The wearer's turn meter reduction effects are boosted by 15%. Okay. And this can go up to 30%. So really nice for turn meter manipulation. There are a lot of champions that can do that. Shuzan, for example. Yeah, really nice. Really, really cool. Next one. So the next one is Diadem of Undeath. Defense, HP, and resistance. The various defense increases by 1% for each ally under an ally protection buff placed by them. Yeah, I think this one is on the lower end. I don't think this will make the cut. Gives a little bit more survivability to your ally protection champion, but honestly, I don't think this will, you know, be such great, that would make such a huge difference. So definitely on the lower end. The next one, Malefic Talon, 40% crit damage. Wow, HP and attack. The wearer has a 20% chance to deal 10% more damage when attacking. And this can, wait, what? 10, 20, 30, 40% more damage when attacking? Wow, so you have a 20% chance to deal 40% more damage with an attack, which is absolutely crazy. I think this is one of the best rare, um, or maybe even overall one of the best relics for damage dealers. Really, really strong. 40% crit damage, and yeah, 40% damage is a lot. Like that's really a lot. Wow, definitely keep an eye on this one. Ireti Coronet is the first epic one out of this group. It has attack, accuracy, HP, and the wearer's damage increases by 1% each time they place a debuff, stacks up to 30%. Okay, so the wearer's damage increases by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6% each time they place a debuff, I would assume. So you would need to place 5 debuffs and then you stack the damage up to 30%. Wow. This is nuts. This one is crazy. Yeah, so guys, you should definitely like if they release Chimera today or tomorrow, you should definitely hold on to your Hydra keys, unless you have the advanced quest to get to do a to commit a Hydra key. Because if we manage to get one of these relics, this will boost your damage like crazy. Like if you get this one or the Malefic Talon, this can be like insane. So I would definitely hold on to your Hydra keys. So the next one, the Orb of Transfixion. Looks cool. Looks a little bit like Sauron. Like his eye. So HP, accuracy, speed. Wearer has a 10% chance to steal one random buff when attacking a target. This effect cannot be resisted, occurs once per skill. Steal chance can go up to 25, 35%. Yo! Okay, so you have a 35% chance to steal one random buff when attacking a target. This can be interesting. Like if you have this on one of your champions, in Arena and you're facing a full Stone Skin team and you have a 35% chance to steal a Stone Skin, and this effect cannot be resisted. Wow, this can be really, really strong. Also keep an eye on that one. Scroll of the Unseen. It's the next epic relic. Attack, crit damage, speed. Wow, nice stat combination. I really like this one. Whereas damage increases by 1% each time any other champion takes a turn when the wearer is under a whale or perfect whale buff. Stacks up to 30%. Damage bonus resets after the wearer takes a turn. I mean, yeah. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% increased by 6%. So enemies would have to take 5 turns and you can stack it up to 30%. And then once the wearer takes a turn, it will go down to 0. So if this wasn't the case, I would say this would be an S tier relic, but the fact that the damage bonus resets makes it a little bit weaker. But overall, I think this is a good one. There's definitely some teams in Hydra with, for example, Glaycat or Duchess, and I think this can boost up your damage pretty significantly. So I think this is a good one overall. Just the last term here that the damage bonus resets makes it a little bit weaker, but overall a good one. Now the first legendary out of this group, Hand of Uncreation. Accuracy, resistance, speed. Wow, nice chunk of accuracy and resistance and speed. So let's see. Wearer reduces the chance of debuff application, buff removal, all steal effects, turn meter reduction effects, and increase kill cooldown effects by 10%. 20%. Okay. Wow. So this can also really decide a match in Arena, for example. Really, really good. 20% basically to resist any lockdown debuff or skill. So yeah, really, really strong. Again, another layer of RNG. Yeah, so I guess this is a good relic overall, but I'm not a fan of more RNG. Let's see. Gore, Gore Crescent. Next legendary, attack, crit damage, speed. Nice, nice stat combination. The wearer's next attack after killing an enemy deals 20% more damage. 20, 30, 50% more damage. So, wow, if I put this on a Rotos, yeah, and I use his A3, and he has a full merciless set, and you kill one, and you get an extra turn, and then you get 50% more damage, and then you're most likely gonna kill another one, and maybe get an extra turn. So I think this one will make Rotos, you know, way, way more, like, way stronger than he already is. Now, the first mythical, Chrono Cube. HP, attack, defense. The wearer has a 50% chance to take 2 turns in a row. If this effect activates, wearer skips the next turn, occurs only once per battle. Extra turn chance. 100%? 100%? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Ain't no way. So you actually get 2 turns, but you will skip the next one. So whoever gets this relic has 2 turns from the start. Wow, this is busted. Oh my God. See, but that's what I mean. It's not RNG, like, right? Like if you can, it's a 100% chance to take 2 turns in a row if you get it up to level 6. I don't know how much that would cost, how realistic it is, how fast you can get that, but, yeah, wow, that looks crazy. Like, Only imagine the amount of stuff you can do with this, even PvE or PvP wise. That's insane. Okay, let's see. The next mythical, Stormcaller. Crit damage, attack speed. Again, nice stat combination. I don't like this stat combination at all. It's weird, but I think it just, any champion will benefit at least of one of these stats. Here it's more like towards damage dealers, obviously. The wearer has a 20% chance of placing a Stormcall buff on themselves whenever they land a critical hit. Okay. 10, 20, 30, 80, so 100% chance of placing a Stormcall buff. Now, let's take a look again what the Stormcall buff is. Stormcall. Each Stormcall stack increases the damage dealt by a champion by 5%. A champion can have a maximum of 5 Stormcall stacks, that will be 25% more damage. When attacking with 5 Stormcall stacks, places a stun debuff on the target and removes all Stormcall stacks. This stun debuff cannot be resisted. Okay, so an extra stun after 5 attacks, pretty nice, honestly, for Arena, for example. I don't see, like, it will give you a little bit more damage in Hydra, but you won't be benefiting, from the stun. But overall, I think this is a really nice damage boost. Yeah, pretty solid. So yeah, guys, that was pretty much it about the relics. Now, we also have gemstones in all kinds of shapes. We have circular, triangular, square ones, and then diamond gemstones, pentagonal gemstones. So as you can see, there are already a lot of gemstones in here. So yeah, let's go over them too. You can see here, gemstones can be inserted into sockets to provide additional passive effects to relics. There are 5 different shapes of gemstone, and they can only be inserted into sockets that are the same shape. So you actually have to, use them in the right shape. You can't just put a circular gemstone in a triangular shape. Now, let's start with the rare ones. Circular gemstones. 10-meter increase effects are 10% more active on the wearer. Pretty nice, solid, straightforward. Then we have unstoppable 10-meter decrease effects are 10% less effective on the wearer. Also really nice. Nice counter against 10-meter decreases. Unerring focus. The wearer's accuracy increases by 3 per each debuff on them. Yeah, I think this is one on the lower end. I don't think this is really strong. Nobody really is lacking that much accuracy, and you can have like 10 debuffs on you, but you don't want to have 10 debuffs on your champion, right? And that would be, an additional 30%, not 30%, but 30 accuracy. Yeah, I don't like this one. Critical bolster. The wearer's defense increases by 1% each time they receive a critical hit. That stacks up to 10%. Yeah, I mean, in Arena, if you receive a critical hit, most of the time you're dead. But yeah, I mean, also on the lower end. Foe Killer. The wearer deals 5% more damage against enemies with full HP. Okay, so this is actually a really nice one. 5% more damage for your first hit if the enemies have full HP. So if you go first in an arena match, this one is good. Target Finder. The wearer's accuracy increases by 5 whenever an enemy resists a debuff placed by the wearer. Stacks up to 40. Also pretty solid to get some extra accuracy on your debuffers if, the enemy team has a high resist champion and you can't really place debuffs. But then again, most of the time, if the enemy resists your skills for the first time, it's pretty much GG, but still good. But yeah, I will put it somewhere in the mid section. Destructive accuracy. The Vera ignores 5% of the target's resistance when placing bomb, poison, and HP burn debuffs. This one is strong for bomb champions, of course. Really, really good. Of course, as well for poison and HP burn champions in like PvE situations, but I'm like thinking about arena matches for bomb champions. This is absolutely amazing. Unflinching. Bosses deal 5% less damage to the wearer. Also really nice for like soloing dungeons with certain champions. Definitely a massive improvement. Dungeon Delver, the first legendary gemstone. The wearer deals 10% more damage in dungeon battles. Pretty straightforward, really nice. Bomb debuffs placed by the wearer deal 10% more damage on explosive power. So also really good for bomb champions. You can take this one and this one if you're able to put it in a relic. Really nice combination. Then you have Uncontrollable. The wearer gains an additional 30 resistance against enemies attempting to place stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, true fear, petrification, or sheep debuffs. Also really good. Unless the enemy has a 6-star sheep blessing, it's unresistible. But yeah, other than that, I would put it in the midsection. Puppet Master. The wearer gains an additional 30 accuracy when attempting to place stun, freeze, sleep, provoke. Okay, same thing. Somewhere in the midsection. Every time the wearer kills an enemy, increases their damage dealt by 10%, stacks up to 30%. Bloodthirsty prowess. Yeah, this is an amazing one. 30% more damage. Crazy. Really, really good. Undead Bulwark. Every time the wearer is revived, decreases all income damage by 10%, stacks up to 30%. Also amazing for like stall teams. Really, really good. If you have this paired with a Marichka, for example, in Arena, this can be clutch. Bolstered Defense. Ignore defense effects are 12% less effective against the wearer. Again, really nice for tanky champions. Can be really clutch for Arena. Really, really nice. There's not really there's no counter towards ignore defense at all. Now we have one. At least a little bit. And then Boss Slayer, the wearer deals 10% more damage to bosses. Pretty straightforward, nothing complicated. If you pair this with this one, you technically get 20% more damage in dungeons. Now, let's take a look at the triangular gemstones. Life Drain. The wearer's critical hits destroy 1% of the target's max HP per each buff on the wearer. Stacks up to 20%. I don't know. I mean, yeah, you can use this maybe in Scarab, but overall I don't think this is that good. Shield Breaker. The wearer deals 5% more damage to targets under shield buff per each buff on the target. Yeah, good against the Necrit, maybe in Arena, or like bolster set teams, but yeah, not a fan of this. Pierce defenses. The wearer will ignore 3% of the target's defense if the target is under 2 or more debuffs. Yeah, this is a good one actually. More defense ignore is always good. Unbowed Might. The wearer's crit damage increases by 3% for each debuff they are under. Stacks up to 30%. Also, pretty situational. The only thing that comes to my mind is like if you pair damage dealers with Guruptog in Hydra. But other than that, yeah, a little bit more damage. But again, you kind of have debuffs on your champion, and therefore you get more damage. So a little bit tricky. Quick Strike. If no enemy has taken a turn yet, the wearer's first attack will deal 10% more damage. That's actually pretty cool if you go first in Arena, for example. Unrelenting Power. When using multi-hit skills, each consecutive hit after the first one that the wearer makes will deal 3% more damage. I have to read this again. When using multi-hit skills, each consecutive hit after the first one that the wearer makes will deal 3% more damage. Okay, so a little bit more damage for like multi-hits. Pretty decent. Target smash. The wearer's damage increases by 1% of the total accuracy. So let's say you get up to like 700 accuracy. So 1% is like 7%. Yeah, not bad. But why would you want damage on a high accuracy champion? That's a weird one. Pouncing Strike. When attacking an enemy, increases the wearer's crit rate by 5% for each active debuff on the target placed by the wearer. That's also a weird one because you like if you want crit rate, you already build your champions with 100% crit rate. So weird one again. Attacking prowess. The wearer has an 8% chance to reset the skill's cooldown of its kills. If it kills an enemy, occurs once per skill. Yeah, this can be clutch, but 8% is not that high of a chance. But you know, nice little cooldown reset. At least a possibility. Rolling Force. When using multi-hit skills, each consecutive hit after the first one that the wearer makes will ignore 5% of the target's defense. So yeah, I think this one is better than this one. Critical Strategy. Increases the wearer's crit damage by 10% for each enemy whose HP is at 50% or lower. Also really situational. A little crit damage, a little damage boost. Not that much, honestly. Piercing Strike. After killing an enemy, the wearer's next attack will ignore 12% of the target's defense. Again, really, really strong for champions they're gonna take an extra turn, like Rotos, for example. Yeah, I can see this being a Rotos gemstone. Sharpened Riposte. The wearer deals 50% more damage when counterattacking. Interesting. Not so interesting for. Actually, you have this counterattack mastery, so this can be interesting for arena as well. Yeah, this is actually a good one. 50% more damage when counterattacking is actually huge. It's a good one. Constant Onslaught. The wearer has an 8% chance to gain an extra turn after killing an enemy. Again, what comes to my mind is Rotos. Double down. When attacking targets under stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, true fear, petrification, or sheep, debuffs with their default skill, the wearer has a 10% chance to repeat the attack once. Wow. Okay. This is interesting. So if you attack a controlled target, you have a 10% chance to get a multi-hit basically. So this one is actually interesting, especially now that we are like in a control meta in arena, for example. Yeah, this can be huge. Extra punishment. The wearer deals 20% more damage against enemies under stun, freeze, sleep, and so on. Yeah, wow. So I'm not sure how this works with sheep, because if you kill the sheep, he will just pop out and then still be alive, right? So I don't know why you would want more damage against sheeps. But yeah, 20% more damage against enemies under any control debuff is insane. 20, like, it's a lot more damage. Okay, so we have triangular. Um, Now we're moving to square gemstones. Sanctified Skin. The wearer receives 10% more healing. Pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy. Can be nice for like soloing dungeons. Yeah. Steadfastness. Destroy HP effects are 20% less effective against the wearer. Yeah, okay. Embellished Shield. Shield buffs placed on the wearer are 10% stronger. Nice. Barbed Defense. Any reflect damage effects and buffs on the wearer deal 10% more damage to enemies. Any reflect damage effects and buffs. Hmm. So does this count towards Geomancer's passive too? That would be my question. Strength Sap. When the wearer is attacked, destroys the attacker's max HP by 3%, stacks up to 30%. Again, I'm thinking about Scarab for this one. Strengthening Will. The damage received by the wearer decreases by 1% for every 10% HP lost. Yeah, so the more HP your champion loses, the harder it will be to kill him. So that's actually a good one. The wearer receives 50% less damage from counterattacks. I don't really like that one. The wearer receives 5% less damage from single target attacks. 5% less damage. Yeah, that's good. Opening Gambit increases the wearer's chance of placing debuffs with their default skill by 5%. Who could need that? I mean, overall, pretty decent. There's definitely not a lot of A1 skills that have a 100% chance to place debuffs, so this can help to maximize the chance. So, yeah, sounds good, honestly, but nothing too crazy. Damage mitigation. If the incoming damage will exceed 30% of the wearer's max HP, decreases the damage received by 10%. If the incoming damage will exceed 30% of the wearer's max HP, so if it does, like, if your champion has 100k HP and that incoming damage will be 31k, then the damage will be decreased by 10%, which is 3.1k. Yeah, okay. Can make your champions a little bit more tanky. When attacked with a multi-hit skill, decreases the damage the wearer receives from each subsequent hit after the first one by 10%. Yeah. Okay, so you kind of like have like multi-hit, like everything. There's a buff. There's a gemstone that buffs a certain thing. There's also one that, mitigates that. So that's actually interesting. For example, you have those multi-hits here, um, which are buffs, like you deal 3% more damage with your multi-hits and then ignore more defense. But then um, you also have these kind of things where you like mitigate the damage of multi-hits. So that's pretty interesting. If the wearer loses 20% or more of their max HP from a single attack, the next hit received will deal 20% less damage. Also pretty nice. Buff depletion. When attacked, the wearer has a 15% chance to decrease the duration of a random buff on the attacker by 1 turn. Yeah, this can be nice. This can be a good one, honestly. 15% chance is not that high, but yeah. Trying to think of a situation where this could be clutch, but maybe like champions that have like unkillable or stuff like that, or block damage. So yeah, this can be nice. Blunt Blades. Enemies under a provoke debuff have a 15% chance to land a weak hit on the wearer. Yeah, this could be nice for provoke champions in like her city stages, but yeah, very niche. The wearer ignores 15% of the target's resistance when placing provoke debuffs. Again, another buff for provoke champions, but yeah, very niche. Torpidity decreases an enemy's speed by 7% if they are under a control debuff placed by the wearer. Okay, so you control them, you make them slower, you have more control, basically. So this is crazy. This is a good one. Diamond Gemstones. So let's see. Greater Restoration. When the wearer restores destroyed max HP, the restore is 25% more effective. Yeah, it's okay. The wearer's speed increases by 2 for each dead ally. Yeah, again, feels like a gemstone for like solo champions for dungeons. Blessed Heal. When the wearer heals an ally with a skill, the heal is 10% more effective. Okay, so more heal. The wearer's accuracy increases by 3 per each buff on them. Yeah, a little bit more accuracy. So those are really a little bit underwhelming here. Revival Blessing. Allies revived by the wearer are additionally healed by 10% of the wearer's HP. Wow, so this is actually a good reviver gemstone, especially for like revivers that don't heal. So you get additional 10% of the wearer, and you want to build your revivers with high HP normally, so that's actually pretty good. Energy expansion. Every time the wearer receives a healing from a skill, increases the wearer's max HP by 1%. Okay, actually also pretty nice for like, longer fights. Hydra comes into my mind to make your champions more tanky. Starting strength, the wearer's resistance increases by 30 until they take a turn. Resets each round until they take a turn. So when they have a turn, they have 30 resistance less. And then while they don't have it, like while everybody else is taking turns, they have 30 resistance more. Yeah, solid. Same thing here. The wearer's accuracy increases by 30 when removing buffs. Okay, so buff strip champions can get here 30 more accuracy. Expeditious exploitation increases the wearer's speed by 5 for each enemy under an active control debuff placed by the wearer. Oh my god, this is crazy. So I'm just thinking like Armand's. If you like give him some of these gems where he like decreases the speed of the champions he controls and then increases his speed, and okay, this can be crazy. Um, the wearer's default skill will ignore 10% of the target's resistance. Nothing too crazy, honestly. Increases the wearer's turn meter by 3% each time they place a debuff on an enemy. Cannot increase the wearer's turn meter by more than 20% in a single turn. Yeah, that would be crazy. Okay, so more turn meter control. If you place debuffs, you get more turn meter. Again, a really, really solid gemstone, especially if you go first in arena, for example, but also overall in for example, Hydra. If you place debuffs, you get more turn meter, gives you more chances to sustain your debuffs. Parting gift. Whenever an ally is killed by an enemy, the wearer has a 10% chance to decrease the cooldown of one of their skills. Yeah, nice for like revive champions if you're just revived and then your allies get killed, and then you have a chance to decrease the cooldown of that revive again, and you can revive again. So yeah, sounds solid. Caught unaware. The wearer gains 25 accuracy for each enemy who has not taken a turn yet. Yeah, pretty solid for go first teams. I see this, yeah, I can see that. And for like bomb champions or like buff strips or whatever, or uh, cooldown increases and stuff like that. If you go first, you get 100 more accuracy. Heal and go. The wearer has a 5% chance to get an extra turn when healing an ally with an active skill. Again, really, really nice. Extra turns are always really, really good. It's kind of like a small, relentless effect inside of a gemstone, so pretty solid. Revival's Boon. The wearer gains 10% turn meter every time they revive an ally. Again, another revive. This whole section feels like a support, heal, debuffer type of thing. Necro defense. The wearer reduces incoming damage by 10% for each dead ally. Yeah, so again, another reviver gemstone feels like it, or support. Then let's move on to the Pentagonal Gemstones. Extra velocity. The wearer's turn meter increases by 3% whenever the wearer fails to place a debuff. Cannot increase the wearer's turn meter by more than 20% in a single turn. I can see this being good in like Hydra. If your, debuff gets resisted by, by the 3% chance, and then you can cycle it back faster, but you don't want your debuffs, to get resisted in arena, for example. Unbroken Strength. The wearer's resistance increases by 3 per each buff on them. Uh, Pretty mid. The wearer's turn meter increases by 5% faster when they are forced to miss their turn. The wearer's turn meter increases 5% faster when they are forced to miss it. I'm wondering how this works. In for the kill. The wearer gains 3% turn meter whenever an enemy loses 25% or more HP, cannot gain more than 20% turn meter in a single turn. So yeah, also really, really nice. This is actually, I like this one more than the one where you get turn meter if your debuffs will not place. If you get damaged for like go second teams, this, yeah, this, maybe you can cut in or something. So this looks pretty interesting. Assured Security. The wearer's resistance increases by 30 against buff removal and buff steal effects. Again, a really nice counter. We had an increase of accuracy for buff removal and buff steal effects, and here we have resistance against that. So again, really, really nice. Survival speed fills the wearer's turn meter by 10% when their HP drops below 50%. Yeah. Also gives you a chance to cut in sometimes, I guess. Yeah, I feel like this is more targeting towards like go second teams, a little bit on the more on the defensive side. The wearer gains 10% turn meter after taking an extra turn. What? Okay. Um yeah, so if you give this someone with a relentless set or like a 9-piece merciless set or in Rotos, yeah, this can be really, really good. Growing Resolve. The wearer's resistance increases by 5 whenever a debuff is placed on them. Stacks up to 40. Yeah, I don't know. You want, like, that doesn't mean you're gonna resist the next debuffs, but yeah, this feels a little bit weird. But again, if you're missing like a little bit of resistance in arena, for example, and you can stack up more 40, and maybe then you'll have a higher chance to resist debuffs. Might be good. Speedy Willpower. The wearer receives 5% turn meter each time they resist a debuff. Cannot gain more than 20% turn meter in a single turn. Okay, this is really solid. If you have like a high resistance champion and he gets more turn meter for resisting, really, really strong. Power Reset. Pentagonal Gemstones. Whenever the wearer's HP drops below 50%, has a 10% chance to reduce the cooldown of a random active skill by 1 turn. Yeah, another cooldown reduction gemstone. Yeah, why not? Pretty solid, honestly. Skill Adapt. The wearer has a 10% chance to prevent their skills being placed on cooldown during an extra turn. Wow, this is really good, honestly. Yeah, if you get an extra turn and you prevent your skills um, to be, on a cooldown, this is actually really, really strong. I like this one. Nimble Miss. The wearer receives 5% turn meter each time an enemy resists a debuff placed by the wearer. Cannot gain more than 20% turn meter in a single turn. This one feels a little bit weird because you don't want the enemy to resist. Of course, it happens sometimes, but what's it gonna change if you get more turn meter if the enemy resists? So it's a weird one. Skill Master increases the wearer's resistance by 40 when resisting increase cooldown effects. So you resist an increased cooldown effect and then you get more resistance. Yeah, this could be nice, but you're already resisting, so why would you want more resistance, would be my argument. But I guess is what it is. Increases the wearer's accuracy by 40 when using increased cooldown effects. That's a good one. For like Yumiko, Crixia, Warlord. Very niche. or Basha. Patient Refugee. When the wearer is forced to miss their turn, the damage received by them is decreased by 30%. This is actually cool, a really good one. Like if your champion gets controlled, he gets a damage mitigation of 30%. Pretty solid. Yeah, this one is really good. This can be clutch. Slow the enemy increases the wearer's accuracy by 40 when using turn meter reduction effects. So again, more accuracy for turn meter reduction. Pretty straightforward, not bad. So yeah, as you can see, guys, it's really a lot. It's a lot to learn. A lot of combinations are possible here. If we see, you know, if you take a look at the relics, there are all kinds of shapes and forms you can put in here. Of course, we are very limited to relics at the moment and gemstones, but I'm pretty sure they're going to release more over time. This is just like the first batch. We're definitely going to get more and different relics, and I'm really interested and curious where this is going to lead to. But yeah, this is pretty much it for this, guys. I just wanted to show you all the new stuff, all the new relics that are available at the moment with this upcoming patch. As soon as the Chimera boss launched, we will be able to forge these things and get those things from the clan boss chests. And yeah, keep an eye out. I'm going to release some content on this as well. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Leave a like and a comment in the section below. Let me know what you think about this new relic system and the gemstones and so on. And yeah, see you in the next video.